The Supreme Court has ruled that the Second Amendment does provide a personal right to have and own a handgun. And that Supreme Court decision has been interpreted by various other courts, lower courts, in terms of how far that right extends. Now, there are a few states, I think New York and California, that are trying to restrict that right, but there can be reasonable regulations of the right to own a weapon. It can't be an absolute right to own a weapon or 10 weapons or whenever and wherever you want to carry it. Open carry laws allow some states that you can carry it in the open. There's conceal laws, et cetera. So each state has their own laws interpreting it. So it's just a matter of when these cases come up to the Supreme Court to see whether they are infringing on the Second Amendment. So it gets very complicated in terms of how far the regulation is going, because if it's going too far, that in effect makes it impossible to own a handgun if there's all kind of restrictions in terms of you have to lock it up in a safe and you can't have a certain amount of ammunition and clips and so forth. At some point, it becomes an infringement on the Second Amendment and should be overturned. So these are very difficult questions to answer, and I think the Supreme Court will take these up, and they're generally basically favorable on the Second Amendment. There's the question with respect to the ghost guns, for example. The Supreme Court recently ruled on that and sent it back to the lower courts to decide how that issue should be resolved. So these are all very complicated questions, but the main issue is that you have a personal right under the Second Amendment to own a handgun or a weapon. Now, there's some question if you are convicted of a felony, whether you can own a gun, and the law does now prohibit that. And that's what got Hunter Biden in trouble because he lied on the gun application form that he didn't use drugs, and therefore that violation there prohibited him from owning a gun. But some of these laws may be too restrictive, and there's some cases working their way up to the Supreme Court whether having any felony that has nothing to do with owning a gun bars you from owning a gun. Let me give you a quick example. Say you violate a wetland law and you put topsoil on your property, and the EPA comes in and prosecutes you. And I've been involved in many of those kind of cases, and they're convicted with a felony. So the question is, well, why should they not be able to own a gun? And the Second Amendment, what does that have to do with them violating a wetland law with respect to owning a gun? It's not like domestic violence violations, which is another issue that's coming up through the courts. So a lot of these questions will be answered in the courts.
Do you have a question for Kamenar? Just drop it in the comments and keep an eye out for Paul's answer right here.
To learn more about the NLPC's mission to investigate and expose government and corporate corruption, please visit nlpc.org.